Let's go.
Health matters to me.
Guys, welcome back to Help Matters with Jackie.
And Coach Patrick.
And you've been listening to us on Shout 94.7 FM, the voice of the gospel truth.
Yes. What a wonderful day the Lord has made, Jackie. We got an awesome interview that's coming up. We've been talking about autism.
Yes, this is autism.
We have a guest that's coming on with us that we know, and since she was a child,
she was a little girl,
beautiful,
and she's
smart,
all
intelligent.
Yes,
child.
and I love her so much. That was my baby. She's still my baby.
Intelligent young lady.
She's gonna always be my baby. She's gonna always be my baby. But guys, we are acknowledging Autism Month, and that's a very important subject for me when it comes to children. And so, like we talked to, y'all familiar with Josiah and Jeremiah. Their mom is Reed. She is an advocate of They Make Me Better. And she has been on there. We've been following Josiah and Jeremiah since they was in elementary school. Now they're in high school, and they're doing a phenomenal job. So we keep in touch with her by phone, by social media. But I thought this time, I said, why not get someone that's near and dear to us? And so I follow her on social media. She is so phenomenal with these children. But by further ado, we're going to bring you on the stage, I guess, Miss Michele Ingram. So
hey, Michele.
Hey, Michele. So Michele, we want you to just tell us about, tell the CSRAs about yourself and where you from, and just give us a little bit of soft introduction about you.
Okay. Well, my name is Michele Ingram. I'm from Fayetteville, North Carolina. I am a stay-at-home mom to two beautiful girls, Madison, who's 4, and Mackenzie, who's 3. Pretty much my life, they're my life. My life is centered around them. They both are on the autism spectrum, but even though they're both on the spectrum, they are on 2 totally different pathways. Their journeys are completely different. So that's something new every day. Something I experience something new with them every day. But my main goal, my life is very full, it's very busy with them, but I want to make sure that, I can help them thrive, help them communicate. That's my main goal every day. It's just to make sure that I got them right. So that's me awesome. In a nutshell.
That's awesome what you say, and that's why we should bring attention and awareness to autism throughout the year, but especially during the month of April, so that people, out in the community can have, that same empathy for children, that are challenged in that area, so we can help introduce them, to society and,
Absolutely.
help them feel comfortable and things of that nature.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say, Coach, piggyback off that. They need to be educated as well.
People in the community.
The community, they need to be educated as well. They are human. They are people too. They are just, and they're unique, so, but if we are more educated about this, the more they can understand, So, Michele, just tell us a little bit about when you first realized, they may needed additional help. When did you first, kind of notice some changes and something that was a little bit different?
Yes, ma'am. So honestly, some people may not believe me, but I felt it. I felt something was different. Like the day I had Madison, I knew, I was like, something is special about my baby. I mean, I know, all babies are special, but this was different. I was like, something is different about Madison. And so when she became about 2 months, I noticed she had a fascination. She would lock in on things that spun. And it wasn't the type of spinning like when you put a baby in a crib and, you got the little carousel that, sings them to sleep. It wasn't that type of thing. She would be locked in for a good 30, 45 minutes, wouldn't go to sleep. Anything that spun, she was just, her eyes would fixate on it. So I was like, okay, even though she's 2 months, I'm still going to look up. I went on Google. and I looked up, I was like, how early can you detect signs of autism? And so clearly 2 months is too early. But I was like, this is always in the back of my head. So as she got older, I started noticing things. She wouldn't answer to her name. She walked on her tiptoes a lot. Certain things that would maybe get on our nerves, neurotypical individuals, like loud noises and stuff. In the beginning, it didn't bother her. She loved vestibular input, so like things that made her feel tight, pressure. She loved to run up against like windows, not to hurt herself, but to feel pressure. And so
Mm,
I was like, okay, I was like, I'm going to get her evaluated. First, I had to go
mhm,
to her pediatrician to get an evaluation, for autism. The pediatrician had to see if there were any signs or anything. I also took her to go get her ears checked because at first I was like, well, maybe she's just having trouble hearing me. But once the doctors, gave her those tests, they're like, her hearing is perfect. And so I said, okay, that's another check mark off of my mommy instinct list. I'm like, okay, well, then now I'm going to take her to her doctor. So I took her to a pediatrician and she was like, yeah, there are some signs that we see. So let's go ahead and get her referred out. They had a waiting list. So she was on the wait list for about a few months, but she was diagnosed at the age of 2.
mhm,
Um, Going to Kenzie was totally different. Kenzie, at first I was like, well, maybe she is going to be neurotypical and, neurodivergent. We say in the autism world, neurodivergent autism, children on the autism spectrum, and then children who don't have the diagnosis, neurotypical. Because all of the things that I was trying to get Madison to do in the beginning that she didn't do, Kenzie did. So she would clap on demand, she would wave, and this was early, like before she hit 6 months.
wow.
She would babble a whole lot, and Maddie didn't talk a whole lot in the beginning. That was another telltale that I was like, I want to see, about her getting seen. So Kenzie was doing all of the opposite things, but then all of a sudden one day it stopped.
Mm,
And I was like, what is happening to my baby? She wouldn't answer her name anymore. She wouldn't wave on demand. She wouldn't clap on demand. She wouldn't wave back. She wouldn't clap back if you tried to, get her to mimic. And then slowly, the things that Madison first presented in her symptoms, Mackenzie then later presented tiptoeing. She liked to feel things, pressed up against her so she could feel secure. Um, she stopped babbling for a while. And so then I was like, okay, my gut instinct was like, I'm not going to wait on this because the first time, I didn't wait on it the first time, but I just gave it a little bit more time in the beginning to see, okay, to see if she would grow out of it. But I was like, no, this isn't something that I'm just going to sit on and wait. So I got Kenzie diagnosed. Kenzie was diagnosed at 18 months. Madison was the first one who was diagnosed. She was diagnosed at 2. Kenzie was diagnosed at 18 months. So yeah, those were
Mm.
the things that I noticed with them. Totally different starting out, but yeah, it's been a journey.
yeah,
I,
I
I
can
just going
imagine.
to ask you, as experience, what was your experience like as a mother, but I'm listening to you now. You was very proactive.
Mhm,
You was very observant of your children, you know, to know their ins and outs or their motor skills or their verbal or cognitive. So that's
mhm,
that's great because Michelle, a lot of parents don't, they either don't or go in denial and they just let this go on,
mhm.
and and
Yeah,
it can get worse instead of catching it, I guess, at an early stage like you did, or so
at an
you
early
can
age. No,
actually,
absolutely.
Right.
yeah.
And I think
For
part of
sure.
that is because, they're
Absolutely.
afraid to really find out, if something is wrong, maybe something is wrong. They don't want to find out what it is, because of the stigmas and the labels that are
Yes.
attached to that. How you feel about that, Michelle? You're kind of sticking on us. You there?
Yeah. Can you hear us? Yeah. How you feel about
I'm
that?
here.
I think Coach asked the question.
Yeah. Did you
Yes,
hear what
ma'am.
I just said about the stigma and the labels?
As a mother with,
As a mother, some
Yes,
parents
yes.
will be afraid of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. So I have found that it's still prevalent today. A lot of parents, they don't get a diagnosis because they're like, oh, nothing's wrong with them, or they'll grow out of it, and they don't really want to sit with that. Okay, something may be going on with my child that I need to get them help. A lot of adults, a lot of parents, they'll turn it inward and they'll think it's something that they've done when
Hmm.
it's nothing that they've done. This is just how God has created them.
Right.
And this is just the blessing that God has given you. It takes a while to get to that point, because I will
Mm,
say in the very beginning, I grieved. Um, I grieved moments that I thought before I had them, like when they get three, I'm gonna put them in ballet, and if they want to do softball, I'm gonna do this, and realizing, okay, with my babies, they can't be in little league or can't do these things right now. First, we
Hmm.
have to do therapy for a few years, to get some things right.
Right.
But
Right.
eventually, they'll be able to do those things. They may
That's right.
be a little older, but it's okay. So I just had to learn how to shift my mindset. My mom
mm,
helped me out with that a lot, because in the
Awesome.
beginning, I was like, was it something that I could have done differently in my pregnancy? I tried to, follow all of the, codes and of motherhood and pregnancy and all that stuff. Did I do the right thing? But it was nothing that I did. This is who they are.
Yeah.
And
yes.
Yeah.
I love them for who they are. And God chose me as their mother, which I thank God. He chose me instead of
Yes.
a family who maybe would have abandoned them or abused them. And so I wouldn't have my children any other way that they are.
Well, see, they make us better. There's a young lady that comes on the show yearly,
Yeah,
usually
that's the
around autism time, and she talked. Jackie mentioned her two sons that she she's the parent of, and she has a business called They Make Us Better, and they truly make you better because you have to depend on God and you have to depend on the grace of God, to navigate and steer your children
right.
through life. Even though it looks different, but you try to make it as normal as you can for them. And that's why this
Hmm.
autism month is so important, that we make people aware and educate them on, hey, let's receive these babies
Absolutely.
and let's show them they have a safe space here, wherever they may go.
Right. And feel accepted and loved and wanted because they are children and they are God has given you
Mhm.
stewardship over these children, and what other beautiful
Mhm.
person to give this beautiful I've been knowing this child since she was, I mean, little girl. When I say little, we was family in Germany, and we had each other,
Yeah. Had a lot of
right?
fun. Had a
We
lot
had
of fun.
so much fun together.
Just
But
watching them
Yes.
yeah,
grow up, without you.
yeah, her and her brother, and her mom being my mentor and coach and bringing me out some things in my life, and she a part of my journey, making and who I am today. But yes, Michelle, so just navigating this, how is your journey? Because a lot of people, we see the kids, but we got to see the caregiver.
Yeah.
We got to see mommy,
All right.
because you got mom and dad, and the thing is, and it's not nothing that miss the other mother don't share. Her husband kind of bailed out, so she became a single mother,
Hmm.
and
Mhm.
that made it much harder. But her
Mm.
faith in God and her community and her pastors and them helped her, so thank God for that. But still having your spouse, your husband, but it seemed
Got a
like,
great family.
yes,
Yeah.
wonderful family, the great network of support, but still mama still has to take the bulk of the responsibility. Let's talk about that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Can you hear us, Michelle?
Yeah. I
So
can. Can you repeat the question that you wanted me to answer at the very
Yes,
end?
I said, even though, you having versus someone that mother is just is her and the children, but you still have your spouse there, but it's still mommy is still that nurturer. She
yeah.
still take on bulk of the responsibility. Let's talk about that.
Yes. Yes. So my husband, he's a warrant officer. in the military. And so a lot of his time is spent, he's at work, and he'll get home, normal military hours that he's supposed to get home. But being a stay at home mom, I'm with them all day, every day. So my mind, it never shuts off. Um, I'm always constantly thinking, planning, adjusting. I try to take time to myself. You know how they say, try to find some moments. But I don't know. As a special needs mom, it's different because even when I'm by myself, I'm still thinking about them.
Yeah.
I'm still wondering, like, okay, did they do this or did they do that? And I'm still, my mind is just still going. So it really, honestly, it just never shuts off. Even like when we're out in public. Um, I'm a big advocate for stemming. Some people, they don't like when their children stem who are on the spectrum. I welcome it because I'm like, this is how they're expressing themselves. They're excited, they want to stem.
Mhm.
But when
That's
I
good.
get out in public, I start getting nervous. Like my mama bear is like, if people start looking at them, like, am I gonna have to
Mhm.
or do I just ignore them, or do I
Right,
need to
right.
explain, all right, she's autistic, so that's why she didn't say hey back, that stuff goes on in my head. So yeah, as a mom, I do consider myself the default parent because my husband, he mainly is at work, and he might have to go out of town and stuff a lot for his job. He
Mhm.
works for JAG, so I'm just always going. It's difficult. It's
Yeah.
it's it's difficult.
That's
But like
I
I
can,
said, God gets me through every day.
right.
Every day.
right.
Even when I don't feel like I can't make it, I wake up the next morning and God is like, I got you through that day. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
get you through the next.
Yeah. He reminds you that his grace is sufficient
Sufficient.
in his
Absolutely.
sufficiency. Yes, absolutely.
And I hear too, how you have developed these coping mechanisms, whether you're around the house or whether you're out in the public with them, on how you're gonna respond to certain things. And that's the key there, is to respond instead of react, to things,
Mhm.
because when you start to react into to what they're doing or whatever, then that just can cause issues, to just get bigger than what it needs to be. So I like how you brought about how you have planned responses in on
Mhm.
how you're gonna
Exactly.
cope,
Exactly.
with things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And I like that. I follow her, so I think you do too.
Yes, I
She's
peep
so
in on
awesome.
them.
She just made the basket for the girls, and I just love it. And then I love her carpool with her niece. Oh my
That's
gosh.
funny.
And then the last one, I don't know if that was Mackenzie or Madison singing. Which one was that singing in the back? Which one? Somebody was back there singing with you.
Madison. Madison.
Madison, yeah, Madison was back there singing. But guys, y'all have to
It was
shout
Madison.
Michelle, Michele Leona. Y'all have to follow her because I'm telling you, I love the carpool. I love it. I love this carpool thing she does. But I love it, and I just love, Michelle, just this personality, been with her as long as I have been knowing her, and I just love it. And just looking at videos when we used to be together, I love it.
Awesome.
She's phenomenal. But Michelle's, getting back on this subject, what are the rewarding moments, like you said, that catches you when you may have a moment? What are the rewarding things to remind you, hey, I God got me? So kind of expand on that for us a little bit.
Yes. So the rewarding moments for me, they'll be like little moments that maybe some parents, they won't overlook, but it'll be like, okay, you've reached this milestone, so now let's go to the next one. For me, it's been like, okay, I was in the car the other day, and all of a sudden, I heard Madison say, "Here." And I'm like, "Here?" So I turn around and she's handing me her water bottle. I'm
Wow.
like, she has never done that. She'll
Wow.
just throw it on the floor or she'll put it back in her little car seat cup holder. But the other day she said, "Here, here." I said,
Wow.
"Okay." So
Wow.
like those
Um,
little things, like that made my whole day. And it wasn't like okay, Maddie, you said here, now let's move on to there. You saying there. No, I want her to if she says here for the next month, That's all I care about. We just
Wow,
gotta
that's
Yeah.
rewarding.
reach
That's
that
good.
Yeah.
milestone. But like we've been working with her on how to brush her teeth. So she has a fascination with brushing her teeth. And the other day she brushed her teeth all on her own. I was like,
Wow.
thank you, Jesus. So I'm not
Oh
gonna go to the
wow.
next step of teaching her how to floss. I'm just right now, I'm just
Enjoy that moment.
that she learned how to brush her teeth.
Okay.
She wanted her little toothbrush. I said, "You want to walk around the house with it? Go ahead, because the more you
Wow.
practice, the better the better you'll get." So
But
those
you
little
know,
things.
those are those God moments, Michelle,
Yes.
when God say, "My child, I know what you're going through. I love you. I'm with you." And he rewards you with that.
Yes.
Because on that journey, you're gonna have your highs, you're gonna have your lows, and
Right.
that's why we can't make our lows be so low that we can't climb back out of them.
Amen.
So we got to understand that
Yeah.
on that journey is a process. Like you said, although your kids in their earlier years are not doing the things that you envision them doing, you
Mhm.
look forward to them doing that later.
Mhm.
And it's going to happen. It's going to take place.
Yes.
But when you experience times like that on your journey, those are those God moments when he just come up to you and let you know, I got you, baby.
I
Just
got
keep
you.
doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it, and just gain, and that's when you just, those right time moments when he know you need it. He's like, okay, and that's when you gain that forward focus momentum, that
Mhm.
resilience, for that next phase or that next stage. Like you say, hey, I'm gonna take this toothbrush moment and I'm just gonna absorb in it, and just let that just be, a forward focus moment, and when the next moment happened, hey, I got another moment, and you give God the glory for it. And
Yeah.
it's
All the
he's
glory.
yes, all of it, awesome. I'm loving this. I love this interview.
Most
Yes,
definitely. So,
absolutely.
so what do you wish more people understood about autism
Okay.
and about not just the spectrum disorder, but about the moms and the fathers that go through it?
Absolutely. I would say that okay, if I could get them to understand anything, it would be like our minds never shut off, right? We don't get days off. We're constantly thinking, advocating, planning, adjusting, whether we're with our children or not. Um, and there's a part of the journey that a lot of us, we touched on it a little bit earlier. A lot of parents are kind of ashamed of, and we grieve. There are moments where we grieve. I can only speak for myself. I don't stay in that
Mhm.
because I'm not grieving a child that I wanted. I have the child that I want. There'll be times where we may grieve what we thought would happen. Um, and it's not because we don't love our children, but we're just learning to adjust, right?
Good.
And walk the path that we didn't originally plan. So for me, I would just want people to understand that, and that, like, I love my children, not in spite of who they are, but because of who they are.
Amen.
Good.
I love my girls regardless. And so I would also ask for people to lead with more understanding, lead with more patience and less judgment when you see children out who may be on the spectrum. Not every child is bad. Not every child is falling out and throwing a tantrum because they're bad or they don't want to listen. Overstimulation is a real thing. And when it comes to children on the spectrum who can't verbalize how they feel, it's not like us where we can say, I'm mad, I'm sad, or something's too loud. If they can't verbalize that, then what other way than to try to get, a parent's attention by maybe flailing your arms or
Right.
crying. But to others, they may look like, look at that bad kid, or, that mama need to get him in check.
Right.
No, you don't
Mm,
know what that parent is going through. You don't know
right.
how that morning went for that mom or dad. So I would,
Excellent.
if the main takeaway, I would just ask people to have more understanding and less judgment. Quick, don't be so quick to think you have that situation figured out.
Yes.
That's so
Yes.
good. That's
That's
so good.
good.
And again, I go back to this is why we have these conversations. Because when you say someone is ignorant, you're not saying that you're a dumb person. I mean, but if
Mm-mm.
you don't spend time researching in a certain subject or a certain area, you could be ignorant in that area.
Yes.
So, let's be smart about, what people could be going through when you see them out there in the supermarkets, at church,
At the
at
grocery stores.
just doing life stuff, and it seems like the child to you is a bad child, but the child is being challenged with because they're on that autism spectrum, and we have to open up our minds to that. And what can we do, you know, to help facilitate to that child and help create
That's
that safe
good.
space,
Yes.
to help that mother that's trying to be as grateful as she can as she raise her children.
Yeah. And Michelle, as you are talking, as we went through this interview, and you talking about, it will come, and as they get older, I just the Holy Spirit just showed me. I see you on a whole different level with this.
Amen. I received that.
I see you advocating not only for your children, but many, many children
Amen.
out there. It wasn't a coincidence that God chose you
Mm-hmm.
for this, because
Amen.
I see you higher than this,
Mhm.
because people don't understand the relationship of marriage and all this come into play.
Mhm.
And you talk about, and I want to veer off the subject, but you do kind of, I don't know if you talked about it a little bit, but you throw some nuggets out there when it comes to relationships.
Mhm. Yes.
And I just see all of these things playing, and it's very important, that we have, that partnership, that
Mhm.
spouse, together. So I just see you at
Thank
another level
Yeah.
Amen. I received that.
in this.
Yeah, and
And
that passion, you
and
see the
you
passion,
see, I
and
feel her
you can feel
passion,
it across the airway. Yeah.
and who other person God can use who is a willing vessel, to advocate for him, not just Madison and Kinsey, but it's
Mhm.
hundreds and thousands of children.
Yeah.
And I see you on that platform. I see you at a higher
Amen.
level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. Thank you, Miss Jackie. I
So
received that.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
getting to that spot now where we got to, I tell you,
It's
time
hard to
flies
let
when you're
this
having fun.
conversation go.
But if you could leave the people of the community and anybody that may watch this video with one message, Michelle, what would that be?
If I could leave them with anything, any message, love. These children need love at the end of the day.
Mm,
Don't think that just because they don't verbally say something to you or they don't respond, that they don't know if they're not feeling love or not.
right.
Mm,
Um, Love, whether I have this wreath outside of my house, it's an autism wreath for this month, and it says, love here needs no words.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
I'm going to make sure that my girls know that they are loved and that they are respected for, for the space that they have, for the space that they need. They're respected for whatever type of communication they end up being able to utilize. They are loved, and so I would just give that message out to the parents out there. Love your baby, regardless if they can understand it or not. You continue to give that love because they're going to feel it, and it's going to shape them. It's going to show.
that's good.
that's good. That's
Man,
good. And
I
you
would
you
say,
are you're a beacon of light
mhm,
in the
Thank
community,
you.
not only community in this world today, and you are a voice to be heard
Yes, ma'am.
throughout this nation.
yes, yes, I agree with that.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yeah, I like what you
I
said about
receive it.
love. Love is action. Love is an action word.
Right.
We have to put action behind it.
Right.
Thank you
Right.
so much for your
Thank
time.
you. I
Yes.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
for what you're doing, in the life
Right.
of kids. And I know
Right.
you're touching lives everywhere else. So just thank you for what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. And
Doing.
just know that God got you.
Right.
Yes.
And we got you too in
We
prayer. We'll
got
be
you in
praying for
prayer.
you.
We
I love
do.
y'all.
Okay.
All
Yes.
right. We
Yes.
love you
Yes.
too.
We love you. You have a beautiful, wonderful day. And tell Apostle them I said hello and we love them.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. All right. Bye bye.
All right.
All
Bye bye.
right.
Bye bye.
What an awesome
Oh,
interview.
awesome interview.
I tell
Awesome
you.
interview, guys. That is so awesome, and she's very passionate. She's very, very passionate. We've been knowing Michelle since she was about 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
And she's, married and got a family. And, like she said, it wasn't something she expected, you
Mhm.
know. But guess what? God chose her for it,
That's right.
you
And she
know.
stood up to the plate,
And she is, and she's
she's knocked the
standing, and
ball out
she's
the park.
come on. She's still
All
doing
right.
good, but I'm looking forward to her doing some great things. So,
Most
guys,
definitely.
all right, guys. So we are coming to that point, and
That's
we
right.
getting ready to close out. But we want you guys to have a wonderful day on this beautiful Saturday. Nice
All right.
weather, and just enjoy, because this the heat is on, and the
It's on.
CSRS
That's a
is.
good thing. But listen, guys, stay
Yep.
tuned. For the Concerned Ministers Fellowships coming up right after us at 9 a.m. You Matter with Pastor Bush. 10 a.m. Saturdays with Sean at 12 p.m. Midday Motivations with Alicia G. And then at 9 p.m., you got the New Arts Profile with Tony D. Don't forget, we got some awesome weekly broadcasts that come on starting at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. Judah, the Hebrew, she's opens up with prayer every Monday through Friday. 8 a.m., you got Sean with Praise and Purpose. 10 a.m., you got Pastor Smalls with Morning Praise. And 12 p.m., you got Sister Mary Harris with the Afternoon Praise Cafe. And at 3 p.m., Minister Arlene Edwards is talking it up. And on Tuesdays at 11 a.m., you got Reginald Forrest with Education Matters. On Thursdays at 11 a.m., you got Pastor O'Neill and Reverend Takia transforming lives.
And guys, remember, we always thank you for listening to Help Matters here on Shout 94.7 FM, the voice of the gospel truth. Remember, we are here to help you to become a better you, to be the best you that you can be. We like to leave you with 3 John 2. We wish above all things that you may prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prosper. Guys, remember, always sow and show an act of kindness, because you never know when the act of kindness may be extended back to you. Here at Help Matters, remember, you matter. Your help matters. We love you guys. We'll see you next time.
Health is life. Your health matters. You matter. Health begins in the spirit and the mind. Take time to love you. Live well. Be well.
Yeah, let's go.
Health matters to me.
Come on, get up. Cause you tuned into the station for your morning motivation to get your education for your health and your spiritual need.
Health matters to me.
Yeah, strong will to empower the people, to promote the peace, though. Positive attitudes, behavior, that's a lifelong dream goals.
Health matters to me.
Yeah, health matters and we're here to help you become the better you, to be the best you, the best version you can be.
Health matters to me.
Yeah, and it's time for this classic, fantastic food for your soul. Here's Jackie and Coach Patrick right here. Let's go.
Health matters to me.